I'm Carol Y. Kelly. I was a captain in the Air Force during the Vietnam War, and I was happy to serve, and as my father did. My father served during World War II, and I was a captain, and I served at the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. And I very strongly believe that you should serve your country in one way or another. And this is the way I served, but there are many other ways to serve, but we need to help our country to be strong and be the great country that it is.
Hello, my name is Mel Tarman. I'm 89 years old, and I served as an officer in the United States Army from 1955 to 1958, and after that I was in the active reserves until 1965. I have a message for everybody. Freedom is obviously cannot be taken for granted. You have to be very alert and make sure that you are on the front line, and if you have to fight for freedom, that's what you have to do. I was very honored and very humble to be part of the United States Army.
Hello, my name is Steve McBrain. I served in the U.S. Army and was stationed in Munich, Germany for 2 years. It's a wonderful place to be, and what I learned was that you must be prepared. By being prepared, it helps you in so many ways, but it's the thing that you must do in order to take control of your destiny.
My name is Arlene Mikulski, and my oldest daughter, Lisa, the day after she graduated high school, enlisted in the Navy. We were shocked, but we figured she knew what she was doing. After basic training, she was stationed in New Orleans on the USS Dixon, which is a submarine tender. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen a submarine tender, but the submarines look like babies attached to the side of the ship. It was the USS Dixon, and she invited me to come down for New Orleans to celebrate with her. Her and several of her friends rented an apartment off base. We had a lovely time, and I enjoyed meeting all her friends. She got to take me on the Dixon, but only certain parts of it. I'm amazed at the size and how many people it takes to run one of those ships. She was served for 8.5 years when, unfortunately, she was hit by a car and they had to give her a medical discharge. But I'm proud of her, and I'm proud of everything she's done.
My name is Harvey Davis. I'm in retirement. I've been living at the Meridian now for a little over 8 years, and I will tell you a little bit of my military history. I was aboard the USS Ranger CVA-61 from February 1962 to February 1964. I was the ship's librarian exclusively, and I went to the East Pac cruise, the Philippines, Hawaii, Japan, and it was all very interesting. I also visited the Arizona Memorial. I was stationed in San Francisco at Alameda and Hunters Point, and the ship that I was on had 5,000 military people, maybe a little bit more with the Marines. It was all very interesting. They didn't have any great storms on the way there. Such a big ship anyway. It was so big, never got seasick. And it was quite an experience. The 5 points that I received for being in the military helped me get into the post office later on, which I spent 7 years. That's pretty much it. I was in the post office for 7 years. And other than that, I was across from CBS in West Los Angeles. Worked for a television appliance store, and used to have a lot of people from the show business coming on in. That was also very interesting in my life. And with that, I want to thank the people that are interviewing me, and I think that's about it.
Hi, my name is Donna, and I was married to my husband for 64 years. We met in high school, and we were married at 19, and he was deployed to, we were very fortunate, Kaneohe Marine Base in Kaneohe, Hawaii, and before actually Hawaii was a state. He was in the Navy, stationed with the Marines. He was supposed to go to Japan, but then they needed a medic DT in Kaneohe, so that's where we stayed. So we had a great 3 years, paid for by the government, and came back, and we went to Oregon State, and we graduated in 1963, where he was a mechanical engineer because he decided he didn't want to be a dentist. So we lived all over the country for about 7 or 8 years, and then we moved to Laguna Hills in 1970, bought our house, and then his company wanted him to move back up to Menlo Park, and we said no because our boys had just started school. So we have lived in Laguna Hills since 1970 until I fell and broke my hip in 2020, and then I moved to Alabama with my son. Unfortunately, my husband had developed dementia, so we had to put him in a home, and he died in September 2020, and I came back here in July of 2021. So we had a great deployment in Hawaii. It was beautiful. It was before it was a state, so everything was local, and it was very interesting. We would go into Honolulu once a month. That's all we could afford, and we were at the Wind in the Sea Hotel there, and all of a sudden there was this alert, and it said, everybody stay seated, do not approach our guest. And it turned out that it was the head of the Japanese Navy. Now you've got to realize that this was in 1957, and the Japanese were not very well liked in Japan at that time. So everybody just hunkered down, and lo and behold, they sat him at the table right next to us. But he was very, he was very quiet in his group of people. But as I say, the Japanese were not very well liked in 1957. And we were very fortunate and got to see Pearl Harbor before it was all renovated, and what a disaster that was. And other than that, it was just almost a 3-year honeymoon for us in Hawaii. We were very fortunate.
Hello, my name is Shirley Kohlmeyer. I have lived here at the Meridian for 1.5 years. I was married to Colonel Edward J. Kohlmeyer for over 63 years. He passed away in March of 2019. Prior to that, he was served in the Air Force as a fighter pilot. We were stationed in several bases. He was overseas, and when he wasn't, and I was home with the kids, I feel like I was part of the Air Force. He served as a fighter pilot in Newfoundland during the Korean War with protecting our country in the northern parts of the globe. He then served in he served flying a B-52 for many years during the Cuban crisis, and other than that, he was then, during the Vietnam War, made a fighter pilot again. He went to Vietnam in 1966, served as a fighter pilot, flying 100 missions in Vietnam before he was returned home. He then was a instructor pilot in Arizona. We served a couple more service areas and ended up in New Jersey at McGuire Air Force Base, where he was the base commander. He retired in 1975.
Hello, my name is Joan Hallback. My husband Neil joined the Navy in April of 1943. He was just 17 years old, but his father helped him enlist. He was in Illinois and Kentucky to be trained in electrical engineering. He joined the Fleet Air Wing and the Photographic Squadron. He was also stationed in Coronado, Long Beach, and Norfolk, Virginia. He was an aviation electrician. He served from 1943 to 1946 and was honorably discharged. When my husband passed away, he was sent this certificate in recognition of his devoted and selfless service by the President of the United States. Thank you.
My name, Donna Lodes. I met my future husband, PFC Ronald R. Lodes, U.S. Marine Corps, in 1951. He had just graduated from boot camp at MCRD San Diego. We were married in October, and 1 month after we were married, he received orders to ship out to the war in Korea, where he would be in combat for 13 months, living in a bunker when they weren't firing the howitzers. He came home safe, then receiving orders to report to Naval Ordnance Test Station, China Lake, California. There he tested ordnance for the Navy. He retired in 1979 with 25 years in the United States Marine Corps. He passed away in 2016, and he's buried at Riverside National Cemetery with full military honors.
Hello, my name is Dennis James Sylvester. I'm the son of James Frank Sylvester, who served in combat in World War II as a captain in the Engineer Corps. And I was recruited in Utah by the 19th Special Forces and had been a river rat. I'd been a river rat and an advanced explorer for the people up there in Utah. And we served proudly with A-teams from Montana, from Alaska. And then when I graduated from the University of Utah, I came down to California and was recruited by the 12th Special Forces as a medic. But I was better at a PIO slot in Utah, where I became a sergeant. And here in California, I worked with Navy SEALs, Camp Pendleton, trained with the Navy SEALs, and trained also with the Marines, the U.S. Marines, at Camp Pendleton. We had a great time, a lot of adventures. This is my father, James Frank Sylvester. That's my mother, Elma Sylvester Christensen. Okay, I've been a proud warrior, also worked with the people in San Pedro and Long Beach with the Florida Warriors Group and the video club here in California, Laguna Woods.
Hi, my name is James E. Reale, and I served in Vietnam in 1966 and 1967, and I was in a transportation unit. Our unit would take ships as they came in and pick the supplies and then move them inland. And we would go anywhere from Nha Trang to Saigon. And it would take many days. We would transport the 101st in many situations where they needed supplies. During those supply periods driving, we went through some terrible, terrible roads. And that means we could hardly get the trucks through. And there were rice paddies on one side and rice paddies bigger on the other side. but we would be getting sniper fire at us constantly. And we would try to take that fire and just move on forward. Anytime we lost a truck, we would send a Jeep and a machine gunner to go back and make sure that he was safe. And that's what I did several times. And the other times I was a specialist for the military captain in the unit, and he would ask me to take places or go places and pick up items, and I would find a way to do that. And meanwhile, he was promoting me. After I retired, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. I had been a salesman for 45 years. I had been an artist before that, working from TRW and McDonnell Douglas. And I decided to do some paintings, and one of the officers saw one of my paintings, and he said, you know, we can use those paintings and sell them for the wounded warriors. And I said, that'd be great, let's do some. I will paint them and you sell them. And I did over 35 paintings and sold every one of them. And they wanted to do different types of paintings, so each one was a little different.
My name is Stuart Muller. I was a Marine from 1959 to 1965. I enlisted. I wasn't drafted. The Marine Corps at that time did not draft. I spent time in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Division throughout in my career. Most of the time, I was electronic tech, but I held numerous little other jobs. I believe that everyone should serve their country in some way or the other and should volunteer to help other people. I've spent over 30 years in Boy Scouts. I spent almost 10 years in Girl Scouts as a registered leader. I was married to my wife for 46 years. We had 2 kids, a girl and a boy. My son was an Eagle. I have 2 grandkids that are Eagles. And it's a good feeling when you volunteer. You're giving to others and you're getting back that warm, fuzzy feeling.
Hello, my name is Danny Hogue. I served as a corporal in the United States Marine Corps. I went in on active duty in December of '65, and I got off of active duty in February of '69. In the interim, I served at Camp Lejeune for over a year, and I was assigned to go to Westpac, which is the Western Pacific, which is the Marine Corps term for Vietnam. I served in Vietnam for a year. I served first at Da Nang, and then they moved me up to Dong Han, which was just below the DMZ. And I was up there for approximately 6 months before I rotated back to the States. I came back to Barstow, California, and spent 6 months there, and then I was discharged from the Marine Corps active duty. My message? I really don't know. My message would be to treat others the way you want to be treated. I served the United States to the best of my ability because I thought our national security was at risk and my country was at war. So I joined the Marines and did my part.